Good afternoon, everybody. This is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading on November 16, 2024. It's later in the afternoon. Wanted to get a video in before my chickens decide to go back inside the coop. And speaking of which, there was a subscriber who mentioned under the video about the vandalism and the littering and the trash and everything. And he used the term nesting, and I'd never heard that applied to littering before. So, of course I had to look it up. And I wanted to know how nesting applies to littering and if it applies to witchcraft, okay? So this is what it says. So before I get into it, please remember to hit the thumbs up. It helps the channel grow, get the message out there. My name is Lorraine. And anybody that out there that knows how to pre-record a beginning and an ending to merge into my video, please contact me privately at alternativehomesteading@gmail.com. I want to know how to merge videos and look a little bit more professional than just, showing you my flowers or my kitties or whatever. So I don't know how to do that. I don't have a lot of time to investigate how to do all this technology. But if somebody explains it to me quickly and shows me how, I would really appreciate it. So let's get on with it. Can you explain what the term nesting means as it applies to littering? In the context of littering, nesting refers to a behavior where individuals or groups pile or arrange discarded waste in one location, often creating a concentrated area of litter. Sort of like Scarlett did at 12:03 a.m., throwing that dirty toilet paper trespassing over my gate a couple of weeks ago. This term is drawn from the idea of a bird's nest where materials are gathered in one spot, though in this case it applies to trash instead of twigs and leaves. Although I will say that very often the witches around here pile up twigs and leaves that don't belong to my property. They did the same thing in New Jersey. So here's how nesting manifests in littering scenarios. 1. Intentional grouping. Some people may leave trash in a single location, for example, near a bench, under a tree, with the perception that it is less harmful or easier for somebody to clean up later. Number 2. The accumulation around structures. Littering often nests, quote unquote, around bins that are overflowing, creating mounds of trash near the intended disposal site. And I will give you an example. When I lived at 52 Sutton Drive, Manalapan, New Jersey, Northfield Estates, and home that I lived in for 30 years as original owner, the witches were preventing me from selling my home, just the way they're doing here. But I'm onto them here. I wasn't really onto them for the first 2 years there. And then I realized what they were doing. They were going around all of my shrubs and fashioning twigs in the shape of the letter Y, like a Y. This is Freemason, Eastern Star, Witchcraft, okay? That's all it is. It's witchcraft. And they would take dozens of them. I've got photos of this on my channel with my interview with Megs B from a few years ago, and stuff them at the base of my shrubs as if to strangle it, as if to bind it from growing, right? These people are sick, depraved lunatics, okay? So number 3 is the symbolic behavior. Occasionally groups nest, quote unquote, trash in certain areas to make a statements, such as protesting insufficient waste management services. They can't do that around here. I'm always picking up trash. While nesting might seem less problematic than a widespread littering, it can still harm the environment, attract pests, and give the false impression that littering is a concentrated way and is acceptable. And also, I'm going to add that it gives the false perception that I'm not caring for my property when all of these people are littering, trespassing, vandalizing, and destroying it, which I can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt. Okay, so then I wanted to find out about witchcraft nesting. Okay, so there's a general term of nesting as it relates to littering, but there is a concept of nesting that can be used in a negative a framework within witchcraft, such as cursing or binding rituals, though this depends on the practitioner's intent and ethical perspective. Well, there ain't anybody around here with any code of ethics, not anybody that I'm aware of other than myself. In these cases, the symbolism of a nest, gathering, containing, or protecting may be adapted to focus on containment, entrapment, or amplifying negative energy. Here's how nesting might be used negatively. Oh, yeah, entrapment, sort of like when the Scarlet drives down the county road at the precise moment that I walk back to my house to call the sheriff's department after a box of trash was left on my property that prevented my landscaper from finishing his job, and I removed it and placed it on the county road for somebody to pick up. Of course, by the time I returned, the Scarlet had been there and back because it was all an entrapment setup, and she already called the sheriff's department. She saved me a phone call. Meanwhile, the deputy said that he would set somebody up to pick up the trash. Never happened. The next day was his day off. Never happened. I had to pick up the trash in over a couple of days. It was heavy. I won't be doing that again. It'll be staying there until somebody else picks it up. Nesting and cursing or binding rituals. 1. Containment of energy or target. A symbolic nest may be created to represent a person or a situation the practitioner seeks to bind or restrict. Items linked to the target, for instance, hair, photos, personal belongings, could be placed in the nest alongside symbolic materials such as thorns or sharp objects representative of confinement or discomfort. Well, the only thing I've seen is triangle pieces of glass, rusted nails, rusted screws. I've lived here almost 6 years. I've cleaned every part of this property. And then I go back to the same places and I find this witchcraft. Okay? Littering, trespassing. Number 2, amplifying negative intent. Just as a nest in positive rituals nurtures growth in darker rituals, it might amplify negative energy directed towards a target. And they use the word target. Practitioners might use materials like black feathers, dead twigs, yes, I find that, decayed matter, to symbolize stagnation, decay, or harm. And as I've mentioned before, what I found today was stuff that I would never eat. I wouldn't even be caught dead in a Dairy Queen. I'm sorry for all you guys that eat junk food. And the only kind of junk food I eat is organic. I'm sorry. Entrapment or confusion is number 3. A nest could be used as a focus for spells intended to trap someone emotionally, spiritually, or mentally. The chaotic arrangement of materials in the nest might represent confusion or entanglement. 4. Severance or isolation. Nests may be used in binding rituals to isolate someone from resources, relationships, or opportunities. But we know that that's what these criminals do. You know why? Because we're non-investigative subjects on the watch list. That's right, we're experiments. And you don't want to filthy the experimental location, right? Because then you might have to discard of the test subject, like with those rhesus monkeys that escaped from the test facility. Oh my goodness, all those adorable little rhesus monkeys escaped from a lab. They were wandering around in the woods and stuff, and fortunately there's a happy ending. Some of the rhesus monkeys didn't leave, poor them. Then the other rhesus monkeys were waiting for their friends to join them, and then when they didn't join them, they wandered around. Fortunately, a rescue group came in and negotiated saving the rhesus monkeys, because once they get out of the isolation, the experimental setup, they cannot be utilized anymore, because then the experiment is contaminated. Okay, we're going to get into the scientific method and how experiments work in another video when I have time. But yes, so they want to isolate the victim because all of us are experiments. Behavior modification, brain experimentation, personality, what do they call that? You know, with the microwave energy, the directed energy and stuff. They want to see how we're going to respond and react to it because they've stolen our DNA years ago. Again, we'll get onto that topic another time. Ethical and energetic considerations. The practitioner's belief. Many witches follow ethical guidelines such as the Wiccan read is harm none and may avoid harmful practices entirely. Others, such as practitioners of folk magic or traditional witchcraft, might not adhere to these rules and see cursing as justified in certain situations. Then there are the energetic consequences. Practitioners often consider the potential for energy to return to them, such as the rule of three in Wicca or karma in broader metaphysical systems. And I ascribe to the rule of three in the realm of karma and astrology. If you see something in a birth chart 3 times, it will more than likely manifest in the personality or the native's life. Countering negative nesting magic. If someone suspects a negative ritual involving nesting, 1. Cleansing and protection. Use cleansing rituals such as burning sage, sprinkling salt, or creating protective charms to disrupt the spell's energy. Number 2, unbinding or reversing rituals. Specific counter spells or rituals can undo bindings or curses. Grounding and shielding. Strengthening personal energy through meditation, shielding, or grounding helps protect against eternal influences. External influences. While nesting in darker rituals is not as commonly discussed as its positive uses, the concept's adaptability makes it suitable for a wide range of intents. Whether used for good or ill, its power lies in the symbolism of gathering and focusing energy. Let me know if you'd like more information on protective techniques or related subjects. So now this is through ChatGPT. So I said, yes, please tell me if you can provide me with protection. So they went on to say, protecting yourself from binding spells, reversing them, or banishing their effects involves combining physical, energetic, and spiritual practices. Below is a comprehensive guide to protection and reversal techniques. I'm going to tell you what I have done. When I see their little X's and Y's, well, first of all, I pick it all up. If I see a Y, I break it. I break the Y. And then I burn it. I stick it in the fire pit, burn the bitchcraft. So daily protective practices are shielding visualization. Imagine a sphere of white or golden light surrounding you. Visualize it as impenetrable, deflecting any negative energy. So this would be like you close your eyes and in your mind's eye, visualize and imagine a sphere of white or golden light surrounding you, surrounding every part of your body. Visualize it as impenetrable. Nothing can penetrate it. You are surrounded in this white light, and it is deflecting any negative energy. It just bounces right off. And actually, it bounces off and it bounces right back to the sender. Protective crystals. Carry stones like black tourmaline, obsidian, or amethyst for shielding. Place them near entry points in your home. Salt protection. Sprinkle salt along doorways, windowsills, or the perimeter of your space to block negative energy. Black salt is especially powerful. I'm going to have to get myself some black salt. I've used so much salt since I moved here. It dissolves and it dissipates. Home cleansing, smoke cleansing using sage, palo santo, or herbs like rosemary or cedar to cleanse your space or of the residual energy. Sound cleansing, like ringing bells, or use sound bowls to break up stagnant or harmful energy. Wards. Hanging protective symbols like pentacles, evil eyes, or sigils near doors and windows. I'm not exactly crazy about that. But I do use this next one. Reversing or reflecting spells. The mirror spell. Mirrors are powerful tools to reflect energy back to the sender. What you need: a small mirror, a black cloth, and string. Instructions: place the mirror facing outward to reflect any harmful energy away from you. Wrap it in a black cloth and tie it with string. Bury it near your home or keep it hidden where it won't be disturbed. No, I haven't done that. I just have mirrors facing outward in my house and the cat's building. Egg cleansing. Now this is new. An ancient practice to absorb and remove harmful energy. What you need is a fresh egg. I've got a fresh egg. Instructions: rub the egg all over your body while focusing on pulling negative energy away from you. Dispose of the egg by burying it far from your home or flushing it away. Then there is the reversal candle spell. A simple spell reverses the effects of binding or a curse. What you need is a black candle, a mirror, and protection oil like herbs like rosemary or basil. The instructions are: dress the candle with protection oil and herbs. Place it in front of the mirror and light it. Visualize the energy returning to its source as the candle burns. Then dispose of the remnants safely. Number 3, banishing and breaking spells. Banishing ritual with fire. Fire is a powerful element for breaking bindings. What you need is a piece of paper, a black candle, and a fireproof bowl. Instructions: write down the binding or harm you believe is affecting you, like preventing me from selling my house and vandalism. Light the black candle and burn the paper in the bowl. As it burns, say, "By this flame I break your hold. Your power fades, your spell turns cold. What you send I now release. Return to you, let me find peace." Salt and water ritual. What you will need is salt, water, and a container. Instructions: mix salt and water, bless it, and use it to wash your hands or sprinkle it around your home and say, "I cleanse myself of all ill intent. Harmful ties are now unbent. Be gone, be bound, leave no trace. This is my will, my sacred space." Sending the energy back to the sender. What you'll need is return to sender. Remember that old song? I'm old. Address unknown. What you need is a jar, mirrors, small or crushed black salt, chili peppers, and vinegar. Oh man, this sounds potent. Instructions: fill the jar with mirrors to reflect the energy, black salt for protection, chili peppers for fiery return, and vinegar to sour their intent. Seal the jar tightly and bury it far from your home. Then there is knot, K-N-O-T, magic for reversal. What you need is a black or white cord. Instructions: tie a series of knots while saying, "By these knots your spell I bind. Its energy reversed, your will confined. Back to you the harm shall flow. No further harm to me you'll sow." And number 5, final banishing with deities or spirits. Don't get your knickers in a knot, everybody out there. If you work with specific deities or spiritual allies, invoke their help. Call on the Archangel Michael or protective deities like, okay, AI, I don't necessarily agree with this. Protective deities like Hecate, Odin, or Bridget to sever harmful ties. Create offerings and ask for their guidance and protection. Like I would summon an angel, right? Many people will summon Jesus to watch over them. Tips for success: stay grounded. Daily meditation and grounding exercises keep you balanced and strong. The intent is the key when performing any spell or ritual. Focus clearly on your desired outcome. Close rituals properly. This is important. Always end your rituals by thanking the forces that invoked and closing your space. And that's what I do, is you thank the universe. You know, thank you, God. Thank you, universe. Blessings to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I look forward to your questions and comments. So, and thank you, subscriber, for mentioning this nesting. I never heard of it. Nesting. But this is exactly what they did when I lived in Manalapan, New Jersey. I would find these little nests of stuff planted in four corners of my property, in the center of my garden bed in front of the house, and all these little binding spells, and I was unaware of it. When I became aware of it, literally, I would go out every day and for an hour and more pick up all of this witchcraft. My house finally did sell in the third year. But at that point, I had already spent an additional 3 years of property taxes, vandalism, so much stuff. You know, the expenses of just living there. Although many of the expenses living here, if the internet is more expensive here, I don't even have a landline. Where I had a landline in New Jersey, I don't have a landline in New Jersey with my internet, and it costs less money than my internet costs here for just the internet. It's unbelievable. And I pay for Verizon separately here, which I did in New Jersey, but I don't have a landline here. It's just too expensive. The food here, I mean, you get a lot of garbage food. There's no organic food around here. So in New Jersey, we had a larger choice of food, beverages that were healthier, and stuff like that. The electricity here is off the charts. It's just so expensive compared to New Jersey. The water bill here is more than in New Jersey, and we've got water, like I said, we've got water dripping off buildings. I mean, literally, if you have water catchment systems, they will always be filled here in Kentucky, unless they're being drained by the local criminals. And that's even without having a creek or a stream behind your house. So, the only thing that's less expensive in Kentucky is the property taxes and the cost of purchasing a similar home. So if I were to, I mean, this is going to sound a little insane. Okay, I have a lot of acreage of land, so do most of the people around here. Now, if I were to, if I could find, if I could locate in New Jersey, this number of acreage in New Jersey, it would probably cost, let me think, do quickly calculating, it would probably cost close to about $20 million in New Jersey. And the property taxes, I wouldn't even venture a guess. And that would be for the land without a house in New Jersey. Because when I lived at 52 Sutton Drive, I had a half an acre of land and a big house. I had a 5-bedroom house. And my house should have sold for $620. But it didn't. It sold for less than that. I mean, now my house is going for close to $900,000 5.5 years later. So think about a half an acre of land with a 5-bedroom house going for almost $1 million. And you add 60, 65 more acres onto that, with multiple garages, a stream, you know, all that other stuff, woods. Millions. And the people around here, they can't wrap their minds around the bargain they have with living here in a rural area. And when you turn 65 here in Kentucky, and if you've got 10 acres of land or more, your property taxes, which are nothing anyway, because property taxes are not so much based upon your land as it is the square footage of your home. So the larger your home, and this is the way it is pretty much in other states also, you are taxed, your property taxes depend more on the square footage of your home than the acreage of your property. Especially if the acreage of your property doesn't have any buildings on it, they're not livable, etc., etc. So, yeah, so the property taxes here are exonerated if you're 65 and older and have 10 acres of land or more. And meanwhile, the property taxes here, again, are very, very low. But as, you know, my daughter mentioned, you get what you pay for. You know, if you're paying low property taxes, you're not going to have the snow shoveled as often. You're not going to have the streets cleaned. People are going to be allowed to throw trash everywhere and not get fined for it. A lot of things are not going to be done. Like the county road, the county creek is not going to be cleaned because they just don't have the money. They'd rather build a sports complex, you know, than focus on the roads or cleaning anything around here. But that's a story for another day. Leave your questions and comments down below with regard to nesting, how it is utilized in cursing and binding rituals, and how it relates to the negative focus of energy as it applies to individuals or groups of people who pile or arrange discarded waste in one location, like what happened last year when a whole bunch of trash was dumped in my outer field. It was raw meat, a barbecue glove, barbecue spears, a shop vac cover, like just a whole bunch of trash. And that's what they're doing. So they're littering my property. It's deliberate, it's premeditated, and it's ongoing. If this happens to you, leave a comment down below. Does this happen to you in your apartment? Does it happen outside of your apartment? Does it happen to any family, friends that you're aware of? And if you're a targeted person and own a home, does this happen to you at your home?